I figure I just, call my chief and get this. That's what you're doing. Is she going to the hospital or doctor's office? Emergency room. Get you right over there. Get you right over there.
Not too bad for Monday. All right, it's time to call the meeting to order. If you would, please stand for the pledge of allegiance. And prayer, please. First prayer. Dear gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and all the many blessings, Lord. We thank you once again for giving us an opportunity as a community to come together, and we pray that every decision that we make will be in accordance to safe and sound. Be thy will. Lord, we pray for the families that have lost loved ones. Comfort them as only you know how. We ask you to forgive us of our sins. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. Amen. Okay, Ray, if you'll lead us in pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here.
Alderman Dale.
Present.
Vice Mayor Dotson.
Present.
Alderman Gilmer.
Here.
Alderman Langford.
Here.
Alderman Linder.
Here.
All present.
All present. Need a motion to approve the minutes of last month's meeting.
I'll make the motion.
Motion made by Alderman Bill Linder. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Alderman Rex Dale. Any discussion? All for the motion, let it know by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passed. Additions or deletions to the agenda? I have one addition. I'd like to add a part-time employee, Mr. Ray Evans, to the agenda. He'll be item number 8. And also, we have took care of number 6, so we'll be removing number 6 from the agenda, please.
Motion to approve these additions and deletions.
Motion made by Vice Mayor Ken Dotson. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Alderman Bill Linder. Any discussion?
What we do with number 6?
All for the motion, let it know by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, motion passed. Don't have any old business. We'll go to new business. Item number 1, downtown revitalization. Mr. Gene Gant.
I've given y'all a sheet of paper with an update from Mr. Evans on some of our projects. As you'll see, the very first one there, the T-Dot sidewalk project. We've got approval for the plans for construction, and we've got the consultant is submitting several pre-bid documents. The estimated cost did increase by $127,000. And we expected this to be bid in January, but I have another update from Mr. Evans today that tells us that there are some necessary permits from the city that have to be obtained first, permanent and temporary. So that was one of the updates for that. He says that will push the bidding back to May or June of 2023. And on there is a misprint that should be, contract completion date is May 2023, not 2013. We would have missed it. For the TAP courthouse project, the environmental phase is complete. Consultant started on construction documents, so that's well underway. The ARC grant on South Church. UCDD is in the process of collecting required environmental responses from various agencies, and we plan to schedule a public meeting the third week of November. I think we set that, we're going to set that for the 15th, most likely, involving all the folks down on business owners down on South Church Street to discuss with them the project. The dog park, since we're still attempting to get a check ceremony scheduled, the consultant submitted a very reasonable design fee proposal, and we'll recommend approval after we have the signed agreement from the Boyd Foundation. The TAP grant for Cedar and Little Street, application has been submitted, waiting word from T-Dot on that, so that's the one for sidewalk drainage and ADA compatibility. Any questions about that?
Yeah, I've got a few. So will we don't care if it get into permit business, will our engineers that are taking care of this grant, will they be getting the permits, or does the city, will they be getting permits on behalf of the city, or is that something that I need to look into?
I'm not sure. All he said was, before we were cleared by T-Dot to bid the project, the city will need to acquire necessary temporary construction easements and permanent access easements.
Okay,
So I'm not sure if he's getting those or.
yeah, probably work a good, if we could, me and you and Ray could sit down and work it out. I mean, it's no problem to get it,
Right.
that's the first I heard of it. And normally our engineers take care of the permits.
Right, and he may be, but I'm not 100% sure, so we will get him to clarify that.
Okay, thank you. And also, you said there's going to be a meeting with South Church, business owners and property owners. Is there a date set on that?
I think we said the 15th, but we've got to firm that up with everybody if you're available.
Okay.
Shannon, if you're available.
I think we were gonna schedule that after our merchants meeting on the
Yeah.
15th, so it would be like 5 o'clock and then that meeting at 6.
Right.
So it's not confirmed yet, then, right?
We haven't sent anything out yet, but
No.
Okay, all right.
it's confirmed in our heads anyway.
That's all the questions I got. Anybody have any questions?
Where's the $127,000 increase, where's that come from?
Comes out of the DRC, Downtown Revitalization Committee. If you remember, our sales tax revenues was up about 35%. So all the money, all the improvements that is on our downtown square comes out of the funds from the enhancement grant. 100% of it comes
So
out of the fund.
no money from taxpayers.
That's correct. It's going to come out of the funds.
I mean, it is, but it ain't.
Yeah, that's right, that's right.
I mean,
That's right.
taxpayers spend money,
That's
so we ain't gonna up the taxes nor build sidewalks.
That's right.
Another piece of business, we had 2 vacancies on the committee. One was Mr. Evans, of course, he stepped down. The other was Bruce Hudgens. So we have discussed a few additions to that. We were interested in putting Ms. April Stover on the committee, as well as Mr. Larry Phipps, the personal executive.
And these folks have businesses in the downtown zone?
Yes. One on Church Street, one on West Court Square.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we need to have a motion to officially put them on.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Vice Mayor Ken Dodson to add Ms. April Stover on the DRC and Mr. Larry Phillips. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman David Langford. Any discussion? All for the motion, let it know by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, motion pass. Continue on, Mr. Gant.
All right. Next item is, if you all noticed, the Christmas lights around the tops of the buildings have aged considerably. We've had those up for quite a few years. And trying to get some replacement bulbs, it ended up that we couldn't get replacement bulbs sufficiently to fix those. So our thought was to go ahead and in the future. That's an investment that will last for several years. I can't remember the last time we changed those lights, but it's been many years ago. So what we propose is to set an amount not to exceed $6,500 for that project from the DRC fund.
Yeah, and to go on just a little bit further, we have replaced some of the bulbs on top of the buildings, and of course those bulbs, which are LED now, are not matching the existing bulbs. Obviously LEDs are a lot brighter, they look different, and I think some merchants think that it just doesn't look very good also. To echo kind of what Mr. Gant said, that we felt this was the right way to correct the measure. I've had Chief Dow do all the measurements around the courthouse, around downtown, on all the buildings, all the existing buildings, and so the quotes that we've got ranges about $6,500. So I think Mr. Gann is asking the City Council to approve us to purchase up to $6,500 worth of lights to go on top of the buildings in downtown Livingston. Is there a motion?
Motion approved.
Motion made by Alderman Rex Dale, second by Vice Mayor Dodson. Any discussion? All for the motion, let it know by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, motion passed. Any other business, Mr. Gant?
No other business from me unless I have some questions.
Any questions for Mr. Gant? All right, Ms. Cantrell?
Yes, sir.
I want to take a minute just to give you all some updates on the events we have prepared for the holidays. This is always a great time of the year for the community because there are so many things going on. So our dates for Christmas in the country this year are let's go back a month. November 25th, December 2nd, and December 9th will be from 5 to 8 each of those nights. So the first night of Christmas in the country we'll do generally like we always do. We'll have our tree lighting at 6. Santa will roll in just before. Santa will be on the square. Then on December 2nd, we will have a carousel there. And then on December 9th, there will be a couple other carnival rides as well. So we have lots of different things prepared for Christmas in the country on each of the 3 nights this year. So be watching our website, the newspaper, our social media for an official schedule of events for each of those nights. Christmas parade sign-ups started today at the Chamber. The date for the Christmas parade is December 10th, and it will be at 1 p.m. And just for future reference, our Christmas parade is always the second Saturday in December at 1 p.m. Deadline for signing up is December 8th at 5 p.m. So if you want to register, it's $5 per entry. Call me at the chamber, send me an email, let me know what you're looking to do as far as what your entry will be. Best way to do it is just to come to the chamber and take care of everything so we can go ahead and get you to sign the paperwork and give you your number on the spot. And lastly, we will be doing ice skating at the park again, and this will be on December 16th, December 17th, and 18th. This will be from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Central Park. In case of inclement weather, that will be moved to the community center. We will be showing Christmas movies and have Christmas music during this event. And I think the city will be providing popcorn. Will we be doing that again this year? Here, I'll throw that out there, didn't even ask.
Chief Dow will be happy to do that.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So we have plenty of things to keep everybody busy through the holiday season. So we ask that everybody come out and enjoy all the holiday festivities with their families.
Any questions from Ms. Cantrell? No questions, you did a good job.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gant. Item number 2 is the MTAS assessment report. I think that everyone is very familiar that the City of Livingston was in search of a police chief. The assessment center that we turned over to the University of Tennessee Municipal Technical Advisory Service, Mr. Rex Martin, the police management consultant, and Mr. Warren Nevad, which is our municipal management consultant as well. The City of Livingston agreed to work with the University of Tennessee Municipal Technical Advisory Service to conduct an assessment center for the police chief position in the City Police Department. The scope of work including conducted job analysis, defined job requirements, and development of valid selection measurements and training of assessors in the use of selection instruments. Using a critical incident protocol and job requirements development by the MTAS assessment team, selection instruments were developed and used in the assessment center. The goal was to develop, exercise, and simulate the skills requirements of the job. There are several different instruments that could have been used to measure the competency of the individual job. These range from pen and pencil tests to group interviews to simulations. The assessment team charted the most important competency and the measurement tools that best evaluate this. The instruments developed and used in the assessment team were behavior-based structured interview, role play, in-basket exercise. The type of going up to the behavior-based structured interview, the type of structured interview asks candidates to describe things that they have done in work situations which show the degree to which they meet specific job requirements for the position of police chief. A rating form was developed. The results of the interview was discussed and consensus reached on each score. Role play and scenario candidates on the first day of the new chief of police and is informed that one of the department's officers had been arrested in the neighborhoods of the county. And the scenario contains background information about the officers, some of which would be an open record under the Tennessee Open Records Law and some which would be confidential. The candidates were instructed to give a brief presentation and answer questions from the media. A facilitator played the part of the reporter and asked questions from a script of ensure uniformity. In-basket exercise, in-basket contains emails and notes of telephone calls and an executive can find in a in-basket. These items are varying levels of importance. The candidate is required to prioritize the items and describe the action he or she would take to address the items. In the executive summary, 3 candidates participated in the assessment center. The candidates and their respective numbers were candidate number 1, Mark Gammons, candidate 2, Ray Smith, candidate 3, Levi Mobley. The candidates for the 21st, of course, 2022. The candidates was rated by a team of assessors on a scale of 1 to 4. 1 does not meet requirements, 2 partially meets requirements, 3 fully meets requirements, 4 exceeds requirements. The assessors was Mr. Dale Arnold, Chief of Police, Allgood Police Department, Mr. Randy Phillips, Chief of Police, Dunlap Police Department, and Ms. Lee Crockett, Human Resource Director, City of Crossville. A summary of the candidates' final rankings by competency and activity as follows. Candidate ratings across all competency. Ray Smith scored the highest with 15.33. Mark Gimmons with 13.33. Levi Mobley 6.50. So Mr. Ray Smith came out and with his ability, conceptual ability, scoring 3.00. Motivation to achieve 3.00, work habits 3.00, interpersonal skills 3.33, management skills 3.00 to give him the high score of 15.33. You all got a copy of the assessment in your packets. We turn this over to MTAS. They don't, now MTAS, and they could not be here tonight because they're doing another assessment. They don't make recommendations, but we did turn this over to them. The high score is Mr. Ray Smith. I'll entertain a motion if anyone's got.
My thoughts are, I think I want to make a motion for Ray because if we was good enough to ask him to step in after the chief resigned, and then he was asked again, I think Ray's the main winner.
Motion made by Alderman Bill Linder to hire Ray Smith as the police chief. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman David Langford. Any discussion?
I'm glad we did this assessment this way. I'm glad we had some objective outside analysis, and it went through what sounds like a very structured and a difficult process, and I think the cream rose to the top, and we're going to have Ray.
Got a motion and a second on the floor. Any more discussion? Roll call, Ms. Rhodes.
Alderman Elder. Vice Mayor Dodson.
Yes.
Alderman Dale.
Yes.
Alderman Bud.
Yes.
Alderman Linder.
Yes.
Alderman Lang.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously. Ray Smith will be the police chief. We'll swear him in just as soon as this meeting is over. Item number 3, Habitat for Humanity, Rock the Block, Miss Allison Smith. Come on up, Miss Smith.
Congratulations. This is actually my first time speaking to a city council, so thank you all for having me this evening. My name is Allison Smith, and I am the new Director of Development for Habitat for Humanity. I am that for the Upper Cumberland Habitat for Humanity, and we actually encompass Overton County. We have just moved into an office up here in Overton County in the WLIV building across from Puckett's Furniture. So we do have a space up here in Livingston, and we are tickled to be up here. With that being said, this Saturday, November the 12th, we are having our annual Rock the Block event. It is something that we have done in the past, so some of you may be familiar with it and some may not, but what we do is every year we try to give back to some of our smaller communities to bring beautification to the area. So we select several homes, and we ask several of our volunteers that are affiliated with Habitat to come out and help us clean gutters, trim shrubs, mow yards, rake leaves, for anybody that is in need. So my time here tonight is basically to ask you if there is anybody in the community who has a yard that maybe they're too old to keep up, or COVID or monetary issues are a problem. We will have close to 100 volunteers Saturday morning that are willing and able, and much younger than myself, to help us clean and break certain yards in the community. We pick about 10 houses to go out to for 4 hours this Saturday morning, and we provide breakfast and lunch for the volunteers that come out, as well as t-shirts and waters. So if you know anybody that is in need, I will leave these brochures up at the front table. And by all means, you can email me, you can text me, you can call the office. Let us know a name, an address, and a phone number so that we can contact them and just make sure that they are willing and able for us to come out. We will be on ladders. We have them sign waivers if they are volunteers for us. They will not be going into anybody's home. We will just be out in the yard helping anybody that is in need. So if you know of anybody, we would love to have them, and thank you all for having Upper Cumberland Habitat for Humanity here tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Allison Smith. Any questions for Ms. Smith?
Yeah, I've got one. On Saturday morning, meeting at your new location at WIB, or?
We are actually going to meet in Central Park, just for parking purposes, and everybody knows where it is. We will have our director of construction there with a couple of trailers and all of the rakes and blowers and trimmers, that gloves, safety glasses, and safety vests that they need. We'll hand those out, and then we'll give them actual addresses as to where they need to go. And we'll have a team type captain scenario that morning. Thank you.
If you get in a area, maybe perhaps Friday, me and Ray can sit down and see if we've got the neighborhoods identified at that time. I don't know if there would be a traffic concern or not, Ray, but I'd like for us to sit down Friday. You don't care?
That'd be great.
Okay, that'd be good. Thank you very much. Item number 4 is the school resource officer contract. Mr. Andre is here, which is our city attorney, and we have met we have took this contract and have went over it with, going back and forth with Dr. Donnie Holman, Director of Schools, Overton County. And do you want to give us just a cliff notes of what this is, Andre? Yeah, thank you.
This is the school resource officer interlocal agreement. I requested to see the previous agreement before I said whether or not it was okay to sign this one. The main change in theme between the previous agreement and this one is that it gives the school principal a lot more authority and say over what happens in the school. We discussed that. The chief didn't have any objection to that. I think they had some objections on the county side, but that wasn't a problem for us. We talked about that. There were 2 small changes that we had. The first one was to add a sentence on the second page here. I think it's paragraph B1. Just to clarify that in the event there was an emergency out in the community, the police chief had the authority and the discretion to call the SRO outside of the school to address that emergency. And the second one was in paragraph B3, where it talks about SRO using school-installed door check reporting software. It was our understanding that that wasn't installed in all of the schools yet, and so we just said, when available for SRO, we'll use that. Those are the only 2 changes that we have, but if anybody has any questions about the rest of the agreement, I'd be glad to address those.
Chief Smith, you've had an opportunity to review this as well. Do you have any issues with this?
No, sir. I totally agree with the representative for the city.
Okay. I looked at it as well. Dr. Donnie Holman looked at it, and we're all in agreement on this contract agreement with the Overton County Board of Education and the Livingston Police Department for the school resource officer program. Is there any questions for
The officers, do we have in the schools?
Come on up, Chief.
We actually will have 4 when all the hiring process is done. We have 2, we have a candidate that we haven't hired yet, we went through the hiring process. But we have one at H. Roberts that will also be over at the Ridge Academy and work both places. We have 1 at LMS, and then we have 2 at the high school, and that's our goals when it's all said and done, so total 4 all together when it's all hired out. They're very important positions. The ones that we do hire, we try to put folks in there that would coincide with the school, work good with the school, and be a great help to that school, because the thing is resource, we're a resource for that school to use, and whatever it may be. And we did talk to the principals and all, but Mr. Dr. Donnie Holman is very good. I've worked with him for years. I ain't had a principal yet step over bounds. They ask. We're in this thing together. It's not a big idea youth process in this. We're all in together to keep children safe and educated.
Thank you, Ray. Any questions for Chief Smith?
I don't have one for Chief, but I have one for Operator. Is the financing the same as the previous contract?
It actually changes a little bit. Now they're doing half on all four of them. I don't want to speak out of turn. Yes.
What was it before, do you
we-
remember? Half on two?
We carried two and they done.
Give it to me after the meeting.
So to clarify, if they're paying for four, the contract actually says for SRO for two SROs. So they're paying for two or four? Half on two or four?
The contract says it's
Okay. So we'll pay for two, that's the
That's
measure.
right, that's right.
Half of it.
That's right. Under if you can push that button down. Yeah, thank you. All right, is there any questions about any more?
Now, we're paying for two, and they're paying for half of two.
That's right.
Where's the third of the top? Number three.
That's forward.
He said two at high school, one at middle school, Bridge Academy, and one at H.
Yeah, they're split in time, H. Roberts and Bridge.
Gotcha.
So there's a total of four. Okay, is there a motion to accept this SRO? Motion made by Alderman Bill Linder, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Dale. Any discussion? Roll call vote, Ms. Phillips.
Alderman Maker,
Yes.
Alderman Langford,
Yes.
Alderman Elder,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dawson,
Yes.
Alderman Dale,
Yes.
Alderman Clay.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Motion passed. Item number 7, the charter changes, I'm sorry, I skipped one. Item number 5. I did that every time. Thank you, Kim. You need to be in check here. Item number 5, Police Department update, Mr. Ray Smith.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, gentlemen, and Representative. There we go. I want to thank you, gentlemen, for the opportunity. I don't take this job lightly. I've not took my 25 years of serving the city of Livingston lightly. I look every day for the betterment of our department. And upon our department, we have made some good choices in moving on, and it's some big shoes to fill. I don't take that lightly. Those that's before me had mighty high standards, and I want to try to grow on those and set even higher standard for our department to always shine for the city of Livingston. Our goal is to be a servant to the community for safety and any other matters that we need to be. Kind of introduce you to some guys we have hired up before we go into the report. Is Josh Smith is right here directly behind me, if you would stand for me. He's in our investigations. He does narcotics, also certified, got several years under his belt and working in that, a major goal that we're looking for. Second is Jesse Huerta. He is an uncertified officer. He will leave for school in January and become a full-time officer with the Livingston City Police Department. Britt Sherfield is another gentleman we've hired up here locally. He comes from one of the greatest countries in Hardy's Chapel, where it's not Lutheran. And, well, I have to put that in there in Oldham County. So he's going to go also in January to school. He's uncertified. And Calvin Klein also is hired in as the SRO, dual purpose and patrol too at this time. We get her training in there. She's out of Knoxville, moved here, is making her home here in Oldham County and Livingston City, matter of fact. And she's been working at A.H. Roberts. The next, Shane Barlow. Shane Barlow's hired in. He's a certified officer also. He works at the hospital on the night shift there to keep the hospital safe and sound and take care of any needs that comes in there also. And then Mr. Joel Webb on the end, last but not least. He's out of Pinchers County. He works night shift here in Livingston City, and he's the guy that rides around at night and makes sure everybody's good. He is certified. He's a great gentleman. I believe we have picked some mighty fine people to work with the Livingston City Police Department. We set high standards up. The interview process was just as, seemed like as strict as the one I went through. So I appreciate the opportunity to do that and introduce the city to some folks. Our goal is in the evidence room. We should be done and completely finished. We've set standards up. We've got just a few other little things to come through to make sure that we are doing dual checks. We checks and balances, make sure everything is correct. By the first of the year, we have been assured we will be done. First year finishes off, we've got everything lined up, everything's straight. Sergeant Chris Mace, I haven't done it. Sergeant Mace has sat there and did all the hard work with the other department officers and doing all those checks and balances. He gave his time, himself, and he's worked hard in there. It's changing. We'll have to change all that impacts in their direction into that situation. We'll be completely finished by the first of the year. We'll be look out of that and start from scratch, and we'll keep on going and hammering out any kind of needs we got. We did have a sale in some assets that we had to get rid of. I do know that I got a report back from the folks about our patrol cars that we got on grant. They are in transport. And that transport's on the train. It's bound to Nashville, is all they can tell me. It's on display. So we have 7 brand new units. Dodge Chargers coming in to help us do our job and patrol the city of Livingston. We sold some assets to buy equipment to do so, and those assets brought it to $57,725 that we'll use and equip those cars. I and the mayor have met multiple times about our grant. Be moving forward. I'm sure there's more meetings that take place into that to make sure that we're doing everything we need to do upon the purchasing and the purchasing of the equipment for the cars this time.
Thank you, Ray. Any questions for Chief Smith? Thank you. Yes, sir, very much. Chief Dow, if you'll come up and introduce your crew, we'll go ahead. You may have a fire, man.
We've hired Clay McDonald. He's been with us about a year. He's been in one of the county departments for 2 or 3 years. We've hired him. Hired Miss Megan Sales. She comes to us. She's been with the county department about 5 years, certified EMT, working on her firefighter certification. And Derek Romantic, he's been a volunteer with us for around 15 years. He's been certified for about 7 or 8 years now, so he's certified firefighter, ready to go.
All right. Thank you very much. And what these are, some are replacements, and then some is the 2 new ones that we budgeted in for this fiscal year. Rocky, what does that give you total in your department now?
That put 3 on 2 shifts and leave 2 on the other 2 shifts plus police cars. Get 11.
Caught you off guard.
Yeah. 3 on 2 shifts, 2 on 2 shifts.
All right. Thank you. You can push that button down, Rocky. I appreciate it.
I'd like to say that I'd like to thank these men and gentlemen for coming, taking their time coming up here tonight, because that way we kind of know who you folks are when we see you out here on the street. You know who we are and everything, and that way, you know, I think it works better, because I've seen people that I didn't know who was or who is driving a city vehicle. They don't know who I am or anything, and I mean, you know, it just works better if everybody knows one another. And I appreciate you folks.
Thank you. Ray, I think the gentleman to your right, Ken Dodson, wants to arm wrestle.
I've known that cat for a long time. You better not monkey.
Sorry, Ken. It's okay. All right, now we go to item number 7. This is the charter changes. We had a work session earlier. And we just talked about a few things that we'd like to see change and possibly more coming at a later date. But the election date changing to the first Tuesday of the month of June, and then the term of starting July 1st. And also the Alderman pay, we changed that to where Alderman aldermen could be paid. And of course, all of this, that I have a resolution here that says town of Livingston was incorporated under 130 under the Private Acts of 1923, and the town of Livingston desires to change this election date to coincide with the regular weekday established for our state and national elections, and the town of Livingston desires to adjust the date upon which newly elected aldermen take office. The town of Livingston desires to allow those who serve as aldermen to be compensated for their services to the town. Now therefore be resolved by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of the town of Livingston that the Board and Mayor of Aldermen request Senator Paul Bailey and Representative John Mark Wendell sponsor legislation before the General Assembly that makes the following revisions. The only, Andre, I think they have moved Senator Paul Bailey out of our district.
Okay, we can check the Tennessee General Assembly website, but may not be up to
it
date.
is the gentleman out of Roman County, former county executive there, Ken. Anyway, I'll get his name to it. He lives all the way in Roman County.
Okay.
And for some reason, that he's our state senator, and will do us a good job, I'm sure. It didn't make a whole lot of sense. We got one from Sparta in there. But anyway, we'll double check that. But that is the resolution. If you want to speak to this,
Sure.
any of that, if you need to.
With respect to the election day change from the first Wednesday to the first Tuesday, that will take effect next election, June 2024. Now, with respect to the length of term of office, this won't impact anybody currently sitting on the council. It will be staggered, so beginning those elected in 2024, they will serve through June 30th, 2028, and then those elected in 2026 will serve through June 30th, 2030. So nobody sitting on the council currently will have their term shortened the way we've written this. And finally, we discussed a couple of ways to change the provision that discusses whether aldermen can be compensated. We, in this resolution, have provided that we're just going to delete the sentence that says aldermen shall receive no compensation for their services as such, rather than taking out the word no. So this just specifies that either you can provide for compensation or you can choose not to. Any questions?
Any questions for our attorney, Mr. Andre Ritter?
Hang on. So if we take that out, we need an ordinance to say what aldermen can be compensated?
Yes.
Okay.
I got a question. What's the advantage over starting their term July 1 instead of September 1?
So,
What's the reason?
David, if you remember, currently right now, the election is the first Wednesday of June. But that person doesn't take office until September. And it's just a long time for anyone to wait to have to take office. For example, Bruce was elected and nearly didn't get to take office 3 months after the fact. So this is simply, once you're elected, you'll take office in the next 3 weeks.
What's the advantage?
Well, you're not waiting 3 months to take office. You're waiting 3 weeks versus 3 months, approximately. That's the advantage. That's the advantage. So, any other questions for Mr. Andre? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion approved.
Motion by Vice Mayor Ken Dodson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman John Clough. Any discussion? Roll call vote, Ms. Phillips.
Alderman Mike,
Yes.
Alderman Elder,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dodson,
Yes.
Alderman Miller,
Yes.
Alderman Clough,
Yes.
Alderman Miller,
Yes.
motion passed.
Motion passed, so we'll sign this resolution, and you'll need to send this to you, and you'll take it from there.
As amended. This resolution.
Yeah, when it's amended, yeah,
Yes, we'll take it.
okay. Item number 8 that was added to the agenda, Ray Evans, is, if you recall, we discussed that we would be paying Mr. Ray Evans $24,000 out of the downtown revitalization funds to help us with capital projects in the downtown Livingston area. We have discussed it, and think it would be better just as to hire Ray as a part-time employee at the same rate, funds coming out of the same place, and he would be under the umbrella of the city of Livingston. That's the reason.
Motion approved.
Motion made by Vice Mayor Ken Dodson. Is there a second? Second by Alderman Bill Linder. Any discussion? Roll call vote, Ms. Phillips.
Vice Mayor Dodson.
Yes.
Alderman Nail.
Yes.
Alderman